Everybody, welcome back to Salesforce with Megan. For those that are new here, I do talk about tech, Salesforce, and career growth. But for today, we are having a special guest on the show. Michelle, her and I used to work at Torrent Consulting together. We both were business analysts at the beginning, but she has grown to be a consultant. So I would love to be able to talk to you just about your experience from being an analyst, from being a consultant, and how you really got into the Salesforce platform.
Hi, Megan, and hi, everybody. Megan, thank you very much for having me here. I'm very honored to be able to be in your channel and have this conversation with you. So to answer your question, to be honest, when I went to college, I never thought I was going to be involved in technology. I mean, it was a nice idea. I knew there were tech people and I was like, good for you guys. And I never really shown any interest in the world itself. But I got to Torrent Consulting. That's where I'm currently working. I'm still working there. And I had no idea what Salesforce was, what it did. I kind of knew what a CRM was, but I had never put hands on it, not even as an end user. And I had no idea what it was. So at the beginning, I was doubtful. I was like, is this for me? Is this something I will be ever able to do? But the place where I started my career was very, everybody was very helpful and helped me through the learning steps on zero to where I'm at. So like you said, I started as a business analyst, not knowing anything. So, starting with Trailhead, knowing the platform, knowing what it did, like what was it used for. And now, I got 4 certs, and yes, I do lead some projects, collaborate with building, coming up with design solutions for clients. So
that's awesome. And one thing I remember when Michelle and I were working together at Torrent was that she had come in and she had found, like she just mentioned, Salesforce. So what were you doing beforehand? And then how did you use your previous professional background to apply it to Salesforce?
Great question. So I graduated from Harding University in Arkansas as a graphic designer. So you know how you think that after college things are gonna go as planned, and then they're not. So I came back to Guatemala and started looking for jobs in the graphic design world. It was kind of hard for me, so I started working at the BPO industry at a call center. Answering the phone. Actually, it was for T-Mobile. I think we were connected to them. So I thought it was gonna be temporary, like a couple months top, and then I was gonna find a job in the graphic design world. It didn't happen. So I spent there 9 years. I learned a lot from that company. I was a customer service representative, then I became a quality coach, then I became a trainer. Then I went back to the operations side of the house and became a supervisor, had some time for management, and on the management side of that account. And it really helped me to understand how technology works for big companies, right? Because now everybody uses computers and programs and platforms. So even though you don't know what's behind the scene, that's what really gets the business going. So I had the opportunity to work with a lot of teams, talk to the clients very closely. So all that experience on project management and handling, projects themselves and starting them from zero. I was in charge of coming up with plans to execute, actions for improving KPIs. So I think that really helped me to learn how to design solutions for problems. People would come with problems to me, and I was supposed to find solutions for that. So that is exactly what we do with Salesforce, right? There are problems, there are pain points, and we use the platform knowledge we get to solve those problems. So that's how my previous experience that had nothing to do with Salesforce helped me to kind of learn, right, the platform and how to design in it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing that Michelle and I really shared when we worked at Torrent Consulting together, is that I also worked at a call center too, but we use Salesforce in Classic, but at the least, we still use sales and tracking, and we needed to know certain KPI numbers of what was converting the best. So that kind of goes into my next question for you, is that because I can say this from my experience working at call centers, that made me focus on the end users and the different perspectives of some of my colleagues, right? So when I think of how are they seeing the page layout, Are they liking what they're seeing? Are the fields helpful for them? Has that previous background that you had, has that helped you now in your position now? And if so, how?
Yes, definitely. I think that mostly it helped me ask the right questions because I had been on the other side of the situation. So definitely it helped me understand what their needs were and also translate them into Salesforce, the Salesforce language, right? I mean,
Mhm.
like it's like becoming that bridge, right? Between like the people who do technology and then the people who uses their technology, kind of understanding and like speaking both languages, I would
Mhm.
say, because like if you've never like been an end user, you really, like you said, you would never think about how does this feel? Is like user friendly? Is like intuitive? Is it like easy to follow? But then you have to get the knowledge on like what is the client asking? So how am I gonna design that in a platform? So I think that my previous experiences really helped me to understand quicker what the needs of the client were and what questions to ask to understand better how to address those needs.
I love that. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I think because we have that experience of being on the pain point of the end user, like knowing what fields, because you interact with the person every day, right? You hear the other person's pain point. Hey, I can't see this. This is not functioning. And to be able to take that knowledge and experience as a Salesforce analyst, business analyst, consultant, whatever the case may be, you still have that experience. And I think that especially when you go in for interviews, you can talk about that. But most importantly, I think another area that I wanted to ask you about was, you have that designer background. That's what you went to school for. So one really big area is the design when it comes to clients and communities, but also as an end user. So how do you think that your designer background has helped you really cater to the visuals of Salesforce?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. I think that when I came to understand what Salesforce did, one way it helped me to, learn it better was thinking about it as designing, like it's a different type of design, which it is definitely. So when we think about designing like the world of graphic design, there's this idea, this concept, and you have to build something tangible around that concept, that idea. So
Mhm.
it is technically, the same, but with Salesforce. So I just kind of like put them together and I was like, this designing solutions is kind of like designing a logo or like a flyer, or, there is this idea that's untangible and we have to create something tangible around it. So it really did help me to look at it as a different type of design. It was visually, and it really helped me, like my background on like, it's a lot easier if your background is light and the font is, dark, because it's, your eyes rest better.
Yeah.
So, those like ideas on like the size of the font, where your eye goes when we talk about the focal point, all of those design things, I was like, well, we can apply these in Salesforce in a different way, definitely, but trying to make what we're going to deliver to the client, visually not attractive, as in it needs to be pretty, but yes, it needs to be pretty and functional. So it kind of like tackled that idea with that view. I am designing something that's going to be functional, tangible, and how do you call it when something is easy to the eye? So it's
Yeah.
easy to
Yeah.
use, easy to the eye, but easy to use. So I think that design did really help me to approach this and learn it better.
I totally agree. Coming from a content creation background, I think that yes, it definitely has to function. That's the core piece of Salesforce, but just adding then that extra touch, like making the fonts better or using in-app guidance for a certain visual design, like knowing these things can make it so much easier on the user at the end of the day. So that goes into my next question, Michelle. Like a lot of people are just starting their consulting careers, or they're looking to be a business analyst, and a lot of that involves design, and a lot of people don't have a designing background or marketing, or just they're not accustomed to making graphics, right, and thinking about the user. So from your background, somebody who's new to the ecosystem and is thinking about, oh gosh, how do I do this design process, like what would you suggest to them?
Well, really, that's a great question too. And I think it can be very intimidating, especially if you haven't gone through any, previous experiences. I think that just looking around in the world today, everything is, about technology because of the pandemic and the
Yeah.
lockup. A lot of people were, we all were found in the need of staying home or using our devices more than we were used to doing it. So I think that just looking around and thinking about, an application, something, a piece of technology, I bet everybody uses at least a piece of technology, and thinking, who came up with this? Like how did this start? It starts with an idea, and just, educate themselves. I think that the internet, it's, at the tip of our fingers, just like starting to read, finding, if you have a question, if you don't know what something is, you can just Google it, or like find some material about it and start reading about it. And I think that it is very important to discover if you're going to be interested in something, if you're going to like something, because I know that sometimes you have to do jobs that are not like your dream job, but if you find something you are interested in, it's going to become easier that you learn, and you're going to want to learn more. So I think that, number one, technology is all around. It is a world that is very big. You can, be whatever, like you can do whatever you want in that world once you get to know it. So educate yourselves, find something you like, something you're interested in, something that's going to get you excited, something that you can see yourself doing, that you can see yourself building a career over, or on. So, and then not being afraid to fail, and, just being ready to learn, that you're not going to know everything. Is going to seem hard at the beginning, but don't give up, because like you're going to get the hang of it. And once you do, then it's going to be, it's going to be great. So
Agreed. I 100% agree with Michelle. The Salesforce journey is all about mistakes. It's definitely about mistakes. But you're just, especially in a consulting firm, like you're just always around people who know one area that you might not, but you can bounce ideas off of each other. So that's really perfect. So Michelle, I love where you've gone. I love, just you starting as a business analyst and you having the sales experience and understanding KPIs even before getting into Salesforce. That's huge. But now, like, where are you going? Where is Michelle going? Is she going to use her design background and combine it with Salesforce, or where do you see yourself going in the Salesforce ecosystem?
yeah, so I think that, I did not know I was gonna be in this world, and now I love it. Like I told you, I think I feel about it as a different type of design, and something that really fulfills my days is, being able to help, being able to find solutions. So I think I'm in the right place. I bumped into it, but I'm glad I did, because like I said, I never thought I was gonna be involved in that.
Mhm.
But when it comes to combining those skills, I think that becoming a better consultant, I think the world of Salesforce is so big. There are so many routes you can take in becoming more technical, or more, client facing type of roles. You can pursue those. So for now, I really enjoy like talking to people, getting to ask those questions, get their pain points, get where, they need help, and, coming up with solutions for that. Definitely I want to become more technical, since I don't have that technical background. I know a lot of people I've worked with, they have studied, I don't know, like information technology, or computer science, or, some sort of techie stuff that I never even looked at. I think that, just kind of like polishing those areas for me is going to be very big. Right now I'm going to play off of my strengths, which is,
Yep.
I was already used to talking to the client, asking those questions, coming up with solutions. I think that I want to really become a good consultant, in general. But then, my plans for the future are becoming more technical, like a solution architect. That's a position I really, I can see myself in the future at some point.
Awesome.
But I know that it will take some effort and studying, and diving into that world a lot more. But there's that plan. So, and of course, my graphic design background, using what I know about technology, the power it has to get to people. And then adding the visual element of the knowledge, I know like colors, fonts, the message, all of that. I think that there are a couple of projects I have in mind, along with Salesforce that I really hope I can get to accomplish. So.
Well, we're here for it. I'm so excited to see where you're going. So, Michelle, when it comes to COVID-19, we saw a huge increase in businesses that used to be like local mom and pop shops, right? They depended on word of mouth. And all of a sudden, COVID hit, you can't meet in person, and those dependencies of relationships took a huge hit. That's just what happened. And a lot of these places that did not have websites, did not have usage of technology before, like you couldn't find them, or they didn't have that good of an idea of what to do. From your background and your designer background, and now combining that with tech, which is super powerful, what would you suggest to consultants and analysts that are dealing with that, from the pandemic right now and trying to figure a way of how to market, perhaps using like Pardot ideas and marketing, and how do their sales reps get out there? As a consultant, from your experience, what would you suggest to people like us using Salesforce, but also businesses out there to get out there more?
Yeah, definitely. And you're very right. Especially here in Guatemala, we saw a lot of, businesses having to close out because they did not have the capability to get to people from like to their houses. Like you said, they couldn't go to the place. So I think that like I said, technology in general, but Salesforce has a lot of products, not only sales, but we have like Service Cloud and nonprofit. And now there are a couple of new ones like Manufacturing Cloud. It's really touching several industries, right? It's really out there trying to find out what are the needs of the different types of industries to really fulfill those needs and help them, store their data, and obviously, remove that day-to-day work to be able to, for them to be able to sell more and do more business, right? And become more up to date. So I would say that it is very important to get acquainted with someone who know something about technology, researching, because I know that if there are some businesses that have no idea on how to set up a website, or, now we have Facebook, now we have Instagram, you really don't have to go through the whole, building a web page from scratch. You can start with little things here and there. So, taking that jump, starting somewhere, trying to get to people that know, and people who know about Salesforce and design in general can help, getting this message to more people, like through social media, getting out there, explaining like what you're doing, educating people about the platform, what does it do, how is that changing lives in businesses. I think that getting that message first is very important, so people know where to look for.
Absolutely, I agree. And I would say for people who are starting their Salesforce career or in it right now, and they're experiencing this, post-COVID, not even post-COVID, that they're experiencing this through the company that they're working with, or they know of a company. If you are looking for ways to volunteer and not work yet, this is a great way to be able to say, hey, I know what we just went through the COVID-19, and let's try and work together. That's a great way, number one, to volunteer and start working on your skills to get experience even before applying. So that looks great on your resume. And then second of all, for those that are already in the position, definitely expand your knowledge. Like if you're working with sales, look at marketing, look at Pardot, look at how you can correlate all those clouds, and really take that and push it towards the business, because the business needs help. We all need to transform into the digital world that we are now. Well, and then another thing is, if you have questions in general, Michelle is a great resource to reach out to. She has so much knowledge. I've personally used, bounced off ideas for her throughout my entire career. So I love just asking her things. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for being here. And this is part one of Michelle's interview. We are going to be talking about how it is to be a Latina in tech today in Salesforce. So if for everybody that stayed till the end, thank you so much. I will be coming out with weekly newsletters And I just published my website, so I will put that in the description below. And if you are new here and you like this content, also go ahead and click the subscribe button. So thank you so much again, Michelle, for being here. We really enjoyed you. And everybody, we will see you in episode 2 with Michelle.